Look for a forecast, a high of 75, a low tonight of 50, a high on Saturday of 77. Outside of KIDE studios, about 56 degrees, 57 degrees. Downtown Hoopa. River's running at 19.35 feet, 12,000 cubic feet per second. If you're visiting the area, please stay out of the river. That river is cold. That river is swift. So please take care if you're anywhere near there. We're listening to The Takeaway from Public Radio International.
Joe Orozco is the station manager at KIDE, a tribally owned radio station that serves the Hoopa Valley, a 144 square mile Indian reservation in northeast Humboldt County that is home to the Hoopa, one of the last tribes in America still occupying their Aboriginal homeland.
Well, Hoopa is the center of the world. So this is the best place to live. We've got the Trinity River flowing right through the valley, center of the valley. The valley is 14 miles long and probably about a mile wide, so it's a very small place, and everybody lives within the valley or the benchlands. It is a very rural community. At one time we had 6 lumber mills here, and now we don't have any. The logging industry has declined, and so has our economy.
We are in a geographically unique area that's hard to get to. A lot of people think that that's our Achilles heel these days because we can't get anything economically good going on here. It's also the thing that helped save us because it's so hard to get here. It's extremely hard to get here. It's also extremely hard to leave.
Just over 3,000 people live in the Hoopa Valley, and roughly 3/4 of those are tribal members. Due to its seasonal outdoor economy, unemployment in Hoopa fluctuates between 50% in the summer and 70% in the winter. Many families here rely on tribal government assistance or support from family members. The average annual income for a household in Hoopa is about $13,000.
You can't strike out at America, and so you strike out at yourself. People don't see a good future for themselves. It's very tough. If you take a look at pre-contact times, people had a purpose. People did something. Even though they didn't punch a clock, they didn't have to be at any place at a certain time, but they had to do things at certain times, and it probably didn't take them all day, but they were acknowledged for what they did. And nowadays, if you don't have a job, you don't have a car, you don't have a home, you don't have all the trappings, you're not acknowledged as a person, an upstanding person. You're not successful. And it's getting harder. And I think that there's also a very basic root cause of a lot of drug use and a lot of other abuse that happens in the community. So we're struggling with that.
No accurate data exists to measure the scope of the drug problem in Hoopa, but nearly to a man, people here say that drug abuse is a chronic problem in the community, one that doesn't discriminate by age or gender, and has touched the lives of most every family on the reservation.
When I was young, you didn't have to lock your doors. You didn't have to lock your car. We didn't have to worry about people ripping you off. I remember alcohol was always there. Then I remember when cocaine and marijuana was here. But when meth came in, it just totally destroyed people. I mean, the other drugs did too, but that just did something. That was the big change.
Substance abuse in this community is, I think, alarming people in the choice of drug that's happening now. Okay, it's not a new thing. And I hear elders talking about alcohol being their drug of choice. And then, like in my father's generation, it was different. And then now it's meth. We have this meth problem that's happening. Now that drug is unique in that the way that it affects the body and the brain cells, you're doing brain damage.
The feel-good part of the brain, that's what it does. It hits those endorphins and it intensifies them, and it, gives them that rush, that high. But what they're doing is destroying that part of the brain, because that's the part of the brain that, makes you feel good.
75 feet, Murray Meth, it basically is screwing a lot of people up. I mean, that shit is bad. Excuse my language, but it has destroyed a lot of good families here. It has destroyed a lot of good people, men and women, kids. How do you describe something that takes a, I guess you'd call sane person and turns them basically half insane? There used to be a trailer that sat in here. I was a young sergeant. It was probably one of my most gruesome homicide scenes that I've ever seen. A young girl was killed. And walking into the trailer, there's a dead girl. And like I said, that was drug related. And it's not like on TV, what you see on TV. When you walk into a trailer and the whole floor is covered in what was in that girl, and then to see that lifeless body, you can't see that on TV. And there's other ones that have happened here on the res. You never forget that stuff.
The Hoopa Valley sits at the center of the Emerald Triangle, arguably the largest marijuana-producing region in the world. It's also ground zero for an ever-growing economy of meth and other illicit drugs, but with only 6 officers, 2 sergeants, and a lieutenant, Kane says it's impossible for his small department to enforce the reservation's drug laws to the extent that some residents would like to see.
How do you protect, the forest? We have such a wide road system out here. You have access points from the outside coming here on the reservation. There is just literally no way to watch this area. There's just no way. It's a community problem. I'm only one part, and it has to be everybody.
KTAC is currently working to bring or reinforce the following activities in the Klamath Trinity area: Neighborhood Watch, Hoopa Citizen South Patrol, HCOP.
Like they do on the first Tuesday of every month, the Klamath Trinity Anti-Drug Coalition, or KTAC, a volunteer network of tribal organizations and concerned residents, is gathered in the Hoopa Tribal Council chamber to address the drug abuse problem and related crime on the reservation.
My abandoned house that I had to move my own children out because it had become a drug house. And then I boarded it up, and they would tear it down, and I boarded it up, and they would tear it down, and then they burned part of it. And then I boarded it up again and even used screws with different threads. They came with screwdrivers and undid those, went inside and completely burned it down.
Did you guys hear about the mom who pled guilty yesterday to, she's a tribal member in Bear River, and she spent some time in Hoopa in a foster home and went to Hoopa High, and
Really?
she killed her baby with meth breast milk.
I remember seeing that in the paper. And she was convicted. Yes! Yes! You can't imagine how much I say yes to that. I am so sick and tired of little fetals being the innocent, and there's nothing we can do because they're not a human being. They're born, I'm telling you, when we went through what we went through, you have to experience to understand what a child goes through. And to have that tiny little baby screaming and fitting and shaking and convulsing, and then to have mama turn right around and give it breast milk again after it had already once been detoxed. So yes to that conviction. And I hope that really sets a precedent to now more moms will start thinking about what they're doing to their babies. That one hits home, I'm sorry. I'm telling you, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
We had that happen to our grandson. He was born addicted to opiate, and I'm telling you, if you've never witnessed that, I pray to God you never have to witness it. It will break your heart to see a little 7-pound baby scream this high-pitched, screaming, curdling, anytime, day or night, and the only thing you could do is to wrap, cuddle them, and give them something to suck. And our little guy was addicted to a sucker for almost 2 years, just to get rid of the pain. And we know from the doctors that he will always be more apt to become an addictive adult than anybody else that wasn't born addicted to drugs.
Katrina Hall, Quail Hill.
It's awards night at Hoopa Valley High School. The recognitions being handed out for perfect attendance and honor roll take on added meaning here in the Hoopa Valley, where the truancy rate is 68% compared to 18% countywide, and the ratio of special education students is double that of the rest of Humboldt County.
We have twice as many special ed kids. At some point, someone's going to have to start correlating this to
Drug abuse.
I mean, yeah,
drug and alcohol
you can't-
abuse.
You can't say that, but at some point,
Alcohol fetal syndrome. It's all right there. If you go back 20 years and take a look at the special ed needs, those children truly were born with genetic defects. Today, I can tell you without any kind of scientific proof that 95% of our children in special ed are drug or alcohol related births. And it's from breastfeeding them, it's from doing drugs while the baby's in the womb. I don't even know if there's scientific proof that the sperm can be affected, but I can't imagine that it can't.
there are studies.
I bet there are, you know. It's not all the woman.
Things just hurt so much that the choice is sometimes to just be in a zone.
Eva Smith is a primary care physician and addiction specialist at the Tribal Health Center in Hoopa. She believes the drug abuse problem here has as much to do with history as it does with any biological predisposition to addiction.
Emotional pain, in particular grief and unresolved grief, is for some people what keeps them in a stuck mode.
As a teacher, what I have done and what I have found out is that it has a lot to do with historical trauma. In fact, it is historical trauma. And it relates to the fact that we are a conquered people. There's all of this denial, all of this anger, all of this, all these negative feelings that a Native person can't talk about. There's an elephant in the room and we can't talk about it.
There's some very beautiful parts of this Hoopa culture that acknowledges that sadness happens, that bad stuff happens, but there are actual ceremonies and cycles in the ceremonial life of the tribe to kind of let stuff go. And if that can be translated to people's individual lives, then they can get into a mode of living a good life.
If we're healthy and living in a good way when we go to our traditional ceremonies, then we are stronger.
Boyd Ferris has been clean and sober going on 5 years. He's a leading member of the Sweat Hogs, a local group of men in recovery who meet by the river every Wednesday for sweat ceremonies, which can draw up to 20 men on any given night, including children and youth who are always encouraged.
The kids that have been through here know that they have a place to come, and we always stress within our circle that when those children or those youth are around, that make it a point to let them know that we're here to listen.
I don't feel like nobody's here to be hard on me, you know. They're here to congratulate me and push me forward. I've had some experiences myself where I had questioned, you know, is that logical or is that reasonable? But it always brought me back to this area, you know. Sweat Lodge, the dance grounds, places where you're supposed to be clean and pure, you know, and be strong for your people. And it's done a lot for me. I have good faith that this is going to help everybody who comes to this stuff, you know.
Our teachings that we've been taught is to keep the rocks covered once we get this fire going.
Although this particular form of Native American sweat lodge is not Hoopa tradition, it's become an important aspect of recovery on the reservation, where there are no residential aftercare programs for people coming home from detox.
When I got home, one of the brothers from the group came and seeked me out and pulled me into this group. And I took on a commitment of being a fire builder for the sweat for 6 months. And just being a part of that, being part of the fire was a great healing for me. And it really pulled me in, and I still do that today.
I was born and raised here myself, and got caught up in a lot of drugs and alcohol through the years, and I got about 20 years in the prison system as well, and it took me a long time to break that cycle, and I owe a lot to this group. It has helped me stay connected spiritually. It has given me a lot of support in my recovery. I got 22 months in recovery, and I have a lot of respect, high respect for the circle.
I had some experiences with using the needle, and I kind of become addicted to it, and it was hard for me to get out of there. It always tell me, come on, one more time. But being a part, we have having the sweat lodge and all the brothers to share. It's been better for me.
I've struggled with alcohol and drugs and better part of my life, and I came through the sweat lodge this time, and this time for me is it's been great. I've journeyed a lot of different paths, but like I said earlier, it's like there's a lot of journey, a lot of people coming from many directions, but we're all going to the same place, and it's powerful.
Some of what Boyd is doing promotes and supports the spiritual part of recovery, and there's a phrase that's often used: there is no recovery without spiritual recovery.
Se ninasan, se tia, haite no chestai no huang, na stay net deson, se tia sinta ate, se tia jestai na tinetwe honta, se tia jestai mahach hole and tot non, kithlahan, slope, sat, somalio, ninya, kinhai, tasenet, wanota, haneo na tinetwe awale, lahau nunsa, se tia, gamao chwe, gamao no huang. So what I said is, thank Mother Earth for being here. We ask that the one above and the ones around us bless us in a good way, that we may live a long life. We thank the water that we have. We thank the roots and the herbs that help take care of us. We're thankful for our deer, the bear, the fish, sturgeon and the eels, the mushrooms, all those things that sustain us. We ask that the spirit angels guide us in a good way, and we say that we believe in this. And then we say our circle's been named the Sweat Hogs, and so we say that my name is Sweat Hog, I'm speaking Hoopa. And then we say that we believe in this in a good way. We ask that all those spirit angels, the Creator, all these things take care of us, that we have protection around our homes and our houses, those people in them. We say that we ask for healing for those that have crossed over, for those that stand next to us, and those that are yet to come. We ask for all these things, and in all these circles, just like this lodge, all over the place. We say these things in a good way.
A death has occurred. A death, has occurred of our old way of life. But just like death is a part of life, there's also the renewing. They're searching for something that they haven't found yet, but the search is on. If they were truly dying, the search would be over. There's this itch that you get when you want things to be better, that you'll find it eventually.
Drugs and alcohol is not our culture. It never has been. and pray for the day that it never will be again.
Hey,